Hello and welcome to part 3 of our top 100 James Bond villain countdowns. I've got a nice mug of James Bond with me today as we do the countdown, so let's get into it. So last time we left off at number 91 with Boris. We're now going down to number 90, which are the Moonraker Shuttle Saboteurs. You're probably thinking, who? These two guys are basically the two men in black at the start of Moonraker who steal the shuttle from off the back of the jumbo jet, and then in the process of doing that they completely destroy the jumbo jet and everyone off it. Very evil. It's all very sinister. I find these guys very creepy. They seem to get away scot-free. I don't think they turn up anywhere else in the movie, which definitely scores them points, but I couldn't actually find the names of these guys on Google or IMDb or anywhere, and I couldn't even find a picture of them. This is the best I could do. So very minor in terms of their impact on the film, but I kind of like them, and I think 90 is a reasonable place for them. So in go the Shuttle Saboteurs. So moving on to the next one, which is number 89. It is the Charles Gray version of Blofeld. This is probably, in my opinion, the worst main villain in the series, hence way down at 89. He's just a very vanilla Blofeld. He's got hair. He dresses in drag for no good reason. He's playing this role way too soon after playing Henderson, You Only Live Twice. I mean, can you imagine if the guy who played Felix in the Daniel Craig film suddenly turned up as Blofeld a couple of films down the line? It would just be hideous. So he just doesn't do very well. The only good thing about this character is the fact that his doubles are quite interesting. There's one or two good scenes there, but that's not even involving him. And his death scene, if you can call it that, has been reduced. It's not filmed as it was meant to be filmed, and it's just kind of confusing as to whether he dies. So 89, Charles Gray's Blofeld, not particularly wonderful there. So moving on to number 88, we have Professor Dent from Dr. No. Quite a mediocre villain who has very good scenes. His death scene at the hands of Bond is probably one of the best Bond scenes of all time, and it's very good. And there's also a very good sequence earlier on, before that in the movie, where we followed Dent on a trip to Crab Key to see Dr. No, and there's some lovely shots of the bay, some nice shots of the bauxite mine, and there's the room where Dent is given the tarantula is fantastically designed as well. So not a great villain, but he just happens to be in some really good scenes, so that's why he's made the list. Number 87, we have another unnamed villain. This is the taxi driver from Live and Let Die. Live and Let Die is full of villains who just seem to get away and disappear, but this guy cracks me up. He's always got Bond on a string. He's completely in control. He tells this funny joke where he's sort of like, for $50, I'll take you to a Ku Klux Klan convention. And then he turns around and sort of laughs at his own joke. He sort of turns around to Bond and goes, just really funny. He starts off, I believe, in Harlem, and then his second appearance is down in New Orleans. So did Kananga just sort of say to him, look, we need you down in New Orleans? And then he drives his cab like 1,000 miles across America. It's just really weird. I'd just love to know. But he disappears during the airport scene where Bond's driving around with Mrs. Val, and you never see him again. So he gets away scot-free. So number 87 for him, and I think that's a good placing. Coming next, we have Count Lippy from Thunderball. I can only think of two counts in movies. One is Count Lippy, one is Count Dracula, and I can tell you I know which is the better villain. It is definitely Dracula. Lippy is not particularly good. I actually prefer the Lippy of Never Say Never Again to this guy. It's one of the few things I would possibly lift from Never Say Never Again and carry over to Thunderball if I could. He's not a particularly great villain, and the only reason he gets on the list really is that I do generally enjoy the whole Shrublands sequence with Bond, and he gets a bit of a weak death as well. He's not even killed by Bond. Bond's probably not even aware that he dies in this movie. So number 86 is Lippy. Number 85, we have Hella from License to Kill. Hella it's a tale of two halves with Hella. He's very good in the film when he's in his army fatigues and he's been all commanding to his troops and he's shooting ninjas. But when he's just sort of floating around in his civvies at the casino and in other scenes, he just kind of looks really awkward, like he's got really nothing to do. And his death scene's really weird. Sanchez sort of impales him on this forklift truck, but for what purpose? I mean, we can see it coming that Sanchez is getting suspicious of him, but I just don't see the point of this elaborate death with the forklift truck. I mean, did two guys kind of you know, holding to one side and the forklift's coming towards him like, I mean, or did they kill him and then put him on the forklift? But for whose benefit? The drug factory's collapsing around them. Who's going to see that? It's kind of weird why they just didn't shoot him. So 85 is Hella. Coming in at number 84, we have Henry Gupta from Tomorrow Never Dies. Now, Gupta is not evil in the same way as his contemporaries Carver and Stamper. He's a bit like Boris from GoldenEye, and he's sort of just like a gifted programmer who's just taken the wrong life path. Obviously, a more reserved personality than Boris. Interesting fact about Gupta, did you know that he practically invented techno-terrorism? I learned that from watching the movie. In fact, let me make a little adjustment. There we go. So, there we go. Henry Gupta, inventor of techno-terrorism. You might as well boast about your life's achievements. So I'll put something on Gupta's CV for him there. So he makes it into number 84. So coming in at number 83, we have yet another unnamed villain. They're full of them in this little sequence between 1981. This time it's another one from Live and Let Die. It's, I guess you would call him the funeral guy from the funerals of Live and Let Die. He's like a middle-aged man who sort of sneaks up on people and knifes them in the side. Very mysterious. We don't get to find out much about him. He gets away scot-free. He looks a bit like Trevor McDonald, in my opinion. And when I was growing up watching this on TV, it would always be censored. You would never see the knife going in, so it would always be a little bit confusing. You'd always sort of see Trevor, as I call him, sort of siding up to his victim, and then it would cut to the victim going like that. You'd never see the knife going in. God, I hate 90s censorship. So 82, we are at Scarpine from A View to a Kill. This guy, he's ever present in this movie. He always seems to be in it, but he doesn't really do much. The one time he gets the chance to fight Bond, he completely blows it and gets knocked out by Tanya Roberts. And then I think the only reason he gets on the list, to be honest, is the fact that in the scene where he and Zorin kill all the miners, he clearly shows just how twisted and evil he is in that scene. So worthy of a place on the list just for that. That scene where him and Zorin are just shooting people down, it's like, they're just grinning at everybody. There's a guy who climbs up on these wires and gets electrocuted, like, and they're like, it's just really twisted. But so Scarpine gets his place at number 82. And that takes us to the final villain of the episode, which is going to be Gustaf Graves of Die Another Day. And I've got both iterations of the character there. I'm not a big fan of Graves. I think he's one of the worst main villains in the series. He's literally got one good scene, I think, and that's his first scene where he, if you don't count the pre-title sequence anyway, he's not bad there in that iteration. But once he becomes the proper Gustaf Graves later in the movie, the only scene I enjoy is when he sort of parachutes into London Calling and kind of walks off in front of all the reporters. That was quite cool, but everything after that, he's just a complete irritant and not in a good way. So he's definitely one of the main villains who finishes quite low down on this list. And so there you have it. I'm going to take another sip from the Bond mug and we're going to wrap up that and call it a day. So thank you for Nathan to filming me for today. And next time we will get into the 80 to 71 segment. It's going to hot up pretty soon. So see you next time.